12,000 feet above sea level and above Cusco, Peru, is the site of Sacsayhuaman, an irregularly shaped jigsaw puzzle of 100 to 200 ton stones, weighing more than 1 to 2 jumbo jets, and some single boulders are up to 26 feet high. The stones were carved and quarried from 12 to 43 miles away and brought here, stacked seamlessly to where you can't fit a paperclip between them and there is no mortar. One story goes, attempts were made by Incas trying to imitate the building of this temple. They tried to move a large boulder like those of the site. It took 20,000 Incas. At one point, the boulder slipped and killed 3,000 men. Moving stones ranging from the weight of an average bulldozer to 2 jumbo jets, 12 to 43 miles in distance, carved into exact fits out of limestone. They would need a crawler or gantry crane, but we are again told they use ropes and logs. Sacsayhuaman is another impossible feat that doesn't make sense with the linear mainstream human timeline and cannot be explained away. Machu Picchu has carved stones that represent this incredible work high up on a mountaintop. The same architecture and stone fitting of Egypt, some stones weigh 50 tons. It's a calendar much like Stonehenge, tracking the solstices. The smaller stones were added on later, while the rocks with laser-like cuts hewn into them are far older and more mysterious. There are hundreds of sites across the world that match the same architecture styles and impossible feats that we cannot duplicate today, too numerous to name them all in this documentary. Nearly every continent we find these incredible works that beg deeper answers to our history and this planet. What are we actually looking at? Content hunter-gatherers would not have changed their lives this dramatically to this sophistication without some type of intervention and reason to do so. We are looking at impossible feats for man to have done in the linear timeline we have been told. So why are we sold a story that doesn't make sense? Giants were a real thing on Earth. From accounts in the Bible, like Goliath, to skeletal remains in more recent times in the 1800s. These were not people with gigantism, such as those born with abnormal growth of the pituitary gland. These were big people. Even in more recent times, King Kamehameha of Hawaii may have been 7'6" or 7'8" foot tall, and that was small compared to further back in history. These were large individuals that were often risen as kings and half-gods, with lifespans well above the normal. If true, the kings on the Sumerian kings list lived in some cases 30 to 40,000 years, which is hard to swallow. In Egyptian Zep-Tepi, Ptah reigned for 9,000 years. Both the Sumerian Kings List and Zep-Tepi showed the lifespan range getting shorter as time went on, and this also dovetails with the Bible. This is in many tablets and depictions in the old days. Who were these giants? Who were these so-called gods? There are giant doorways in many sites. Some even claim that these were the megalith builders. While there isn't any proof to it, there are the giant coffins at the Serapeum in Egypt, weighing 70 to 100 tons, as much as a large passenger jet, 13 feet long, 7 foot wide, some 10 feet tall, made out of rose granite, transported from 800 miles away. 6.5 on the Mohs scale of hardness, needing a diamond saw for this precision, and they were polished to perfection. And they have been somehow transported and positioned into these tiny spaces. The entrance and places they rest are smaller than the boxes. The mainstream narrative says it was all done for Apis bulls. Again, the cover-up looks pretty ridiculous. It seems that those who were related to the bloodline of the gods were big, some half god and half man, such as Gilgamesh, who is actually holding a full-grown lion with his mane. It seems that the lineage may have been left to the Noah figure, also known as Ziausuja, to repopulate the planet after the Great Flood, who was possibly the last of the long lifespans on Earth. It seems as though Earth was populated with many different looking beings before the flood, from giants to chimeras, as well as elongated skulls. It seems the Earth was much more diversified than it is now. It's possible that Homo sapiens sapiens were not the only dominant species on the planet. This hidden chapter of our planet might be the most important information that unlocks Earth's mysteries, human origins, and to understand better where we sit in the mix of this diverse past and why things are the way they are. The mitochondrial DNA of humans goes back 200,000 years ago, known as mitochondrial Eve, a sudden shift in evolution that is too quick for Darwin's theory to be possible. Humans have a different path and purpose than these so-called gods. It appears that DNA has been interfered with in the distant past with telomere caps on the end strands of DNA. Why were these lifespans so long, just like in the Bible? And who were these gods they speak of? They didn't act like the God of the universe, but had human emotions of jealousy, greed, and control, not the architects of free will. Were they even Homo sapiens sapien? What was this ancient world before the multiple Earth cataclysms?
I have people from within the military community contacting me and asking me, what is the credibility of giant people being alive today? But what they'll say is, I was deployed to Afghanistan and peers of mine said they had eyes on. And I can tell you that you were the umpteenth person who was deployed to Afghanistan who's asked me this question. You can't ask the higher ups, what was that? What happened? You can ask your peers, but you can't ask the higher ups.
It was through my analysis of the archaeological reports, the peer-reviewed journal entries, field notes, photos of archaeological digs, not only here in Aruba, but also on Bonaire and Curacao. All has evidence of giants on all three islands. In the archaeological report of the Bonaire skeleton, they were at least 8 feet tall. They could have been upwards of 10 feet tall. Vespucci says in his report, if they were kneeling, they would still be taller than him if he were standing.
On the islands of Malta and Gozo, there were strange elongated skulls found. Skulls with no sagittal suture marks across the top, exactly the same as those found in Paracas and many other spots. Some people say they're not even of human origin. These skulls are mostly found in the Hypogeum, an underground megalithic cavern found underneath modern buildings that forbids photography. These islands are full of mysterious temple sites of the same megalithic building techniques as this lost ancient global civilization. No mortar with large cut stones. Could these anomalous skulls be any clues to who may have built these sites across the world? The site of Gigantea is said in legend that the giant goddess Sansuna carried the stones 2.5 miles from the quarry site while holding her giant son, half human, half giant baby, over her shoulder. Another legend goes that it was built by giants as a defensive tower. Whatever the case it was, these stones are huge. Some weigh over 20 tons, heavier than a city bus, limestone carved and moved, placed with no mortar. A lot of these smaller stones look like repair work, and I would say that this is reconstructed after the last cataclysm. Mainstream archaeology doesn't actually know how old the Malta temples are. A lot of the official dating is 5,000 years old because it fits their timelines and narratives. Whatever the case may be, Malta was a very important part of the megalithic past and home to other strange anomalies such as the cart ruts. What could have created these lines? It's as if large carts were rolled on wet cement, then it dried. Something scarred the earth and made markings with no one particular wheel size or matching sizes of space between wheels, if there was even wheels at all. They don't make sense, some just end. Some end in water, indicating the age of the ruts could be from before the last ice age, when sea levels were much lower before the Younger Dryas period. Some deep, some shallow, some go right off the sides of cliffs. An idea might be that these ruts were used for quarries of sites to transport stones, but in the end, it's just a mystery that needs more research. Malta is full of temples that match places like Egypt, Peru, and all over this ancient world that built with large stone and did the impossible. Was this all part of Atlantis? Was Atlantis really built and run by humans as we know them? Can these answers be known? Somebody on Earth knows these answers. The cover-up of our ancient past becomes apparent continually. Who were these beings that lived in Malta? Giants, strange faces. Is there evidence of this type of civilization on the other side of the world? If these themes in ancient architecture spanned across the Atlantic to South and Central America, why wouldn't it have gone to Hawaii, the South Pacific, and Australia? It's time we go search that side of the world. Let's find these lost pyramids in Hawaii. on one of the most beautiful islands in the world, Kauai, known as the Garden Island. It's Hawaii's oldest and most overgrown island, and I'm here because I got word of a three-sided pyramid-shaped mountain. In the pictures and images, it looks out of place. It's all alone. It's not connected to a mountain range. Its cardinal points point to correct directions. Does nature make such symmetry and proportionate shapes? And the answer is yes. Sometimes we have to be discerning with this kind of stuff, so it can happen, but it's also kind of mysterious. And so we're gonna check it out, but it's on private land, so we're gonna be sneaky and we're gonna climb it and search for clues. Kauai is known as the last Hawaiian island that had the little people known as the Minihuni. They were known for building strange structures overnight. Could they have been left over from Mu? And could they have built this three-sided anomaly? Well, let's do the damn thing. What was supposed to be just a scouting journey turned into the real mission. We decided to brave it. Even though we didn't have the right equipment for the job, we had to walk a private road and actually hide from drivers as they went by. Okay, is that a pyramid? Well, let's find out. You can't see much, but I think we're at the base of it. Got dirt on the ground, so who knows what it is. Could just be a mountain. We'll find out. For most of the journey up, I had to stop filming because there was no trail. The forest was as dense as it gets. We were getting beat up trying to determine what way to take to the top. The most invasive part of the hike was the overgrown cane grass, which contains tiny thistles that go into your skin and leave hard to see stingy splinters. We made it on top. At first it seemed pointless, like we had just climbed a mountain, but then I found these layers of rocks. It seemed like they could have been stacked there, but it was hard to tell. But many of them had the same wedge-shaped edges. But then we found this rock, which looks like it had been carved. The mountain was so overgrown that it would need a major excavation to find out more. But this particular rock had the shapings like it was carved by man. Without a magnet, I at least brought my compass. And to our surprise, the rocks on top had magnetic anomalies. It changes when you put on the rock. Look at that. Goes the opposite direction. Oh. Let's do it. Oh, is it because of the phone? No, it's not. Move the compass again. Huh. There's no question that the rocks on top had some type of energy field. What was it for? We have no idea. And then we found these rocks on the way down with these strange carvings, reminiscent of what I'd seen in Bosnia. Maybe a relation, maybe not. The indigenous Hawaiians, possibly? Who knows? If we are to conclude that this is a pyramid, many more tests need to be conducted and the mountain needs to be excavated. Because it's on private property, I don't see that happening. And because archaeology doesn't take this serious and most of the general public doesn't think this is important due to the cover-up, it will unfortunately remain a mystery until more conclusive tests are done. This is the third of several possible Hawaii pyramids in this film. By the end of this film, we'll see if we can get any more answers. Maybe you're not convinced that there's a cover-up of our ancient past. Try to get access to dig in the Giza Plateau and find what lies beneath to get answers about all your questions. They don't want people to find the underground passages under the Sphinx that have been found with ground-penetrating radar, including a hole in its left rear that leads to a deep passage and one on its back. The World Economic Forum has involved itself in halting the excavation of the world's oldest known sites such as Gunung Padang in Indonesia and Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. Its members even had trees planted around the site to prevent digging and want to halt large-scale excavation for the next 150 years. The site of the oldest city on Earth in southern Iraq, Eridu, was last excavated in 1949, now left to ruin and looters rummage daily. Wouldn't the oldest city on Earth be more important? Many ancient Sumerian sites in Iraq were looted on purpose in the 2003 Iraq invasion. They don't want you to know your past. They only want you to know the narrative taught in schools. They don't want you to understand that there was this advanced civilization and that the builders of these sites had advanced technology to cut rock and make drill holes in solid stone.
The electric drill was not invented until Black & Decker invented it in like 1926. So something is not being told to us, is all I gotta say.
Archaeology is not trying to rush to find what's inside the void in the Great Pyramid found years back. Nobody has been able to see what's under large monuments like Stonehenge and Tiwanaku, even though ground-penetrating radar shows caverns. With the evidence provided on how incredible and advanced our ancient past was, wouldn't uncovering our antiquity and ancient mysteries be a priority to the people in charge? The conclusion anyone can come to is that the people in charge don't want you to know.
I think the reason that our true history is hidden from us is to keep us in a state of ignorance, to keep us from uncovering our history, our truth, because that would lead up to a revolution of sorts, and not necessarily a war revolution, but it would lead to people not following the status quo and kind of ending the current paradigm of control and manipulation that we're in. That's why it's keeping hidden from us.
Who are the keepers of these ancient secrets? The same people in charge who own every strand of organized society, and if you think there is still autonomy in the different strands of society, think again. Every moving part of our world has been infiltrated by these same secret societies who are on the same page in lockstep against humanity.
A large portion of archaeologists, sadly, are paid narrative pushers. And they are not paid to discover or uncover. And if you're only listening to approved voices, there's narrative control. And if there's narrative control, then you're not going to get the full story.
And I think when we see narrative control, it's like a red flag saying there's something to see here.
Time and time again in my research, I've dug into what the Western answer is for these things, and there's nothing behind it, like a single paper or a single sentence. And they've used that single paragraph to extrapolate doctorates. It's like, hang on a minute, how can you do that? That's only a paragraph. You're drawing thousands and thousands of words out of 100, whereas there's thousands and thousands of words that make a lot more sense to the narrative that we're discussing.
There was all these black kids in a school who were doing very poorly, didn't know anything about like African culture or history, or who they didn't have any like identity other than that they had just been slaves. And so the teacher took it upon herself to educate them about like African kingdoms and like how they had like pretty advanced culture, and it completely changed these kids to where they all just started doing way better in every area of their life. That is why they don't want us to know. That is why the Smithsonian hides all this shit. That is why they give us a false timeline. You can control people better.
You have to wonder why some of these powers that be, who happen to be the elites, are systematically suppressing a lot of information. There might be a perceived connection in their mind between themselves and the ancient megalithic builders, and that could be why they try to cloister that information and keep it to themselves, because they feel that that's their legacy, that their ancestry. It's really all part of our human story. And if they're keeping it to themselves and not sharing it with us, it's really detrimental to humankind as a whole.
They own the schools. They teach that consciousness is derived only from the brain. You grow old and die, and there is no God. In this fear-based Darwinian survival system, we are just an upgrade from animals. They just want us smart enough to do our jobs and listen to authority. Since the inception of our known existence, the royalty wanted humans to be a lesser species and to be ruled. These dark occult groups hide our true history and lead humanity now into a major choice of freedom versus slavery. So Triffon, what do we got here?
We got the imprint, man. Welcome to the imprint. This is a genuine UTC discovery. We found this on a trip to actually look at the axe grinding grooves. We'll take some footage of that a little bit later on as well. But this is a piece of Peart. This is an anomalous artifact, a genuine unlocking the code discovery. We'll take the square away and just have a look at that.
Look at this deep groove.
The deep groove running this way, goes down through there, up through here like that, and over here like this, and then it looks like sunglasses from the 80s.
Oh, totally does, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It does, yeah. But as you can see, it's been imprinted into the stone.
And what kind of shape would make this?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Right, but then you zoom out, right? Look at this. Look at some of these cuts. Yeah. And again, no one cares. This is all full of sand. Right?
Yeah.
Look at some of this stuff. I sent this to a geologist, okay? This, especially this bit here and this bit here, and his opinion was it was cut.
It looks like it was, especially right here. You got a line right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cut here, and this looks like it was a brick taken out.
Yeah.
So was this like a jig, right? That used to cut stone? I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's very weird. It's interesting. Like, is this an ancient tool?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is what this site is known for. Okay. You can actually see some of the indigenous come and do tours here, and they grind their stones just to show it.
Yeah.
So technically, you're talking about Neolithic axes, right? And they're making blades here, okay? But I wonder whether whether it's a constellation, right? So basically, the indigenous will say that they used to round these are more grinding things, making things round or something like that. But in a lot of other sites around the world, markings like this, if looked at from above, are constellations.
That's right. Is the imprint evidence of ancient machining, a cutting tool of sorts? Did this ancient world have stone cutting tools? What could have made such a mark deeply grooved into solid rock? And Triffon, what have you done to the imprint?
Well, we're using what's called microsil, which is a substance used to take blade marks, and it's basically used in forensics, okay? through a connection through UTC, we got some of this microsil, and basically we're waiting for it to set, and it'll just peel away. You know, actually I didn't keep some. We just peeled it off this.
Yeah.
And it just peels away. It won't even be left in the rock. Like nothing will be here. We'll clean it up before we go, and we're going to have an imprint of the imprint.
Yeah.
Which means, but what this microsil is designed to do is it's designed to go under a macroscope.
And it picks up all the fine detail.
All the fine details.
Yeah.
And hopefully, we've got an expert in tooling, and maybe he can give us an idea on what kind of tool actually did this, if it was a tool.
And that's
Awesome. Science, man.
That's the next step. All right, here's the finished product.
An imprint of the imprint. And look at it, man. It's definitely mechanical in nature, isn't it? Like,
Absolutely.
it seems that way.
Next, our journey took us north to the town of Gympie, where some say existed an ancient pyramid. The name of this site is known by its indigenous name Jaki Kundu by the Kabi Kabi, and locally known as Rocky Ridge, a site off limits. The rock terraces are dismissed as terrace gardening for growing grapes by Italian wine growers, but there had been no Italians in Gympie before World War II. Others argue that a Swiss nurseryman grew here. There is no satisfying answer to this site. Some say that it was a pyramid, and others vehemently say it's a hoax. The story goes that a land surveyor, John Green, in 1863 spotted it and put it in his diary. He produced this image, which looks like Stonehenge with a table in the middle on top of a terrace pyramid. Also this drawing of a sungate-like structure similar to the sungate at Tiwanaku. Later, this photograph was produced of the site. John Green's great-grandson, Brett Green, later found these drawings in his relative's wooden chest, and he wrote books. Even though Brett Green seems sincere, many argue the books have historical errors on every page. The original diaries are not available because they were destroyed in a fire in 1984. Other members of his family claim that John Green never made it to Queensland and John Green was illiterate. So much contradictory information makes it impossible to find the truth on the matter, but we have to include the fact that exposing this kind of information and changing conventional history is systematically battled and covered up. You can see this exactly by the government, how they treat this sacred site, building the new highway right next to it. So we may never know the answer on this site. It seemed pretty much like nothing until we reached this site. Yeah. This looks like something I've seen at the Sphinx Temple.
Yeah.
Look at this little guy to plug it right here.
I know.
You know?
Yeah. But in order to make that one, you got to make this one, that one, and that one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this one here, like, why do you do that? Like, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. I mean, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, why do that?
These are more square.
Totally.
See, so this was a Depression era project in Australia, and you can see that this wall has been moved, right? Because I've been here probably half a dozen times, and you can see some stones sort of look like they need to be pulled out, turned around and put the right other way, you know what I mean? Like, they're not in the right way.
Yeah.
But also the wear on them, technically they've come from like a horse and cart or something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And the gaps between them aren't super tight. So
no, they're not super tight, but you got to remember this wall was moved.
It was moved, yeah.
This one's pretty crazy if you zoom out on that one. Because that's 1, 2, 3, 4 just for this one here.
Yeah. Did the megalithic builders make it to Australia? Could these blocks have been moved from the Jaki Kundu Gympie Pyramid site? Indigenous Australians didn't make polygonal masonry, and neither did the British settlers. Yeah, nothing going on there. Even though not many pyramids were constructed with polygonal masonry, it shows that this ancient global culture made it to Australia. The stones must have been taken from somewhere important, and if the Gympie Pyramid was a complete hoax, why would such a detailed story come out of thin air, and why was polygonal masonry used in such a small, isolated town? Another story goes that the Freemasons constructed the wall. Elsewhere in town, you can see residential stone walls constructed in the same mysterious way. South in the state of New South Wales is a site in the middle of nowhere called the Gosford Glyphs. Discovered in the 1970s by a local surveyor who had been visiting the site for many years and noticed Egyptian hieroglyphs etched in the walls of the remote spot. Often dismissed as a hoax, the cover story is that a returning soldier from the 1920s that served in World War I made these as a joke. But why carve these in the middle of nowhere, and what for? They are very hard to find in a small sandstone canyon. Open-minded Egyptologists have translated it as a shipwreck from traveling Egyptians. It tells a story that they were stranded. Boomerangs are found in Egypt, even in the tomb of Tutankhamun, but further back in the Old Kingdom days. In Egyptian, it was called a foreigner's weapon, so there is a link. This style of hieroglyph has been dated by researchers to be around the time of 500 BC, a rare and obscure form, almost a dialect of hieroglyph. Over 300 figures are engraved in the sandstone. Tests have been conducted on the age of the moss and/or organic material in these engravings, and the results will eventually come out on the rough age of these organic materials. And if they are older, we will know it wasn't done in the 1920s. So an elaborate hoax in a distinct dialect to be seen by nobody makes no sense. Could have ancient Egyptians with the knowledge of the megalith builders have visited Australia on possible trade routes? And did they mingle with ancient Aboriginal tribes? Did these same Egyptians build a pyramid at Gympie? And did they originally construct the polygonal masonry wall blocks that are now at the church? Did they have ancient stone cutting tools like that of the imprint? This site is under threat of development, and we may never know, just like the Gympie Pyramid site. The government systematically destroys these sites, just like the Redcoats decimated the Aboriginal culture when they took over. If you've noticed, since the 21st century began, world events have become more extreme and scary. If the world seems like it's getting worse and more tumultuous, it is. If you've taken the extra step further, you may have noticed that many of these world events don't make sense if you investigate past the official narrative. These events can be torn apart and have been by real researchers who have taken the time out and scrutinized the official narratives under the microscope and come to independent conclusions that these events were constructed for our reaction. The controllers of this world have a plan, and the 21st century is the century of psyops. Psychological operations have been performed on the world stage and sold to you for the effects to further their agenda.
They, the few that are in power, not elected, selected behind the scenes that we have no idea about most of the time, secretly create a problem. This problem nowadays is more or less always an alleged mass shooting, an alleged terror attack, an alleged financial crash, or a virus. These four are being repeated over and over again.
It's really important to not be caught up in the world, because if you're caught up, then your will is theirs. Like, that's like to be caught up, right? Is to, yeah, I'm thinking like them now. You know, it's a magic trick. What they give us is mind control, and what we do is accept it.
We just go into a reaction, an emotional reaction. We said, oh my God, this is horrible. Something needs to be done. We need protection. And then we say, please help us. And they will then say, well, the only thing we can do with this horrible problem is, and in comes the solution. And the solution every single time is something we would never ever have accepted had it not been for the problem.
Modern humanity is under a state of hypnosis. Social engineers have created a world that is under hypnosis by screens telling them what to think and mimic the ideologies portrayed. It takes 12 seconds to fall into alpha state watching a TV screen. Alpha state is light hypnosis. When you are relaxed at the end of your day, this is when you are the most open to suggestion by social engineers who have the playbook on humanity. They don't want you clear-headed and open-minded. They make sure everything we ingest, including media, dulls those senses.
You want to keep your cognitive liberty and your physical autonomy that much. I mean, I think that's what's really at stake when people do not have those elements in their best wishes for the average person. I think that's really important.
Gradualism and playing the long game is how these dark elites work. No matter what leader is in charge, you've seen the centralization of everything owned by the few marching forward unobstructed. They want to drive society to a centralized one world power and humanity enslaved by a cashless global currency run by AI. And they do it through these fear events just to get you to comply.
The end game that they inevitably hope to accomplish, it's as dark and as evil as it gets. Just because you and I can't conceive of their rituals and their belief system doesn't mean that their belief systems aren't true to them.
So someone, I have no idea who came up with the idea where we control every single aspect of it, including the autopsies, the doctors, the crisis actors, the so-called dead, the court, the lawyers, the whole thing. Just move it from place to place. I've started identifying over the years the same individuals over and over and over again. One time they're a pilot, next time they're a SWAT team member, next time they're lying dead in the street, and then suddenly they have arisen from the dead and they're a preacher or whatever.
That's why they use the false flags and all these things to trick us to think that there's not an abundance of safety, and therefore we need to give up our freedom.
The world has been bamboozled by fear events to progress this agenda, and you have to be vigilant and know that the people in charge of organized society do not have your best interests at heart. But many people would rather not face this fact and live in cognitive dissonance.
It doesn't matter how many kind of documents, like disclosed documents you share, or how much information you share with people. Some people are just, you can't convince people with chemtrails. You could sit outside and watch it go by, and then you could sit there and watch it happen, and people will still never believe it.
And I think it's very possible we have an unbroken line of influence since the era when our kings and queens and bloodlines and royal families were being established. So I think if you can see the same policies being used to manage human populations, to me that suggests an unbroken presence giving the same advice from generation to generation.
They put us through school. They teach us that we are worthless trash and that we're killing the planet. These are illusions, much like government itself is an illusion. The word government means to control mind. If your mind is not controlled by others, then you are free.
If we don't take control of our own lives, if we don't hold on to some semblance of sovereignty, some semblance of independence, then we are going to fall victim to the trap. And that trap is everywhere we look.
They're gaslighting everything. Wake up. Wake the dead. Wake up.
Are you awake now? Wake up. Wake up. Wake up.
Best thing you can do is just turn off the news. Stop listening to the news.
The pyramid is quite large, symmetrical, and flat on top. Natural formation structures like this are known in the islands as cinder cones, where lava swelled to the point of almost exploding. Two things made this one unusual, besides being subject matter of my dreams for years. This one stuck out like a geometrical building. I paced a clearing in front of the pyramid, wondering whether to go and try to climb it. Because it was late, I decided against it.
Nobody here with the quads.
We snuck past the quads. It was probably just hunters. We didn't stay around to find out, so now it was time for the journey to truly have an objective. All right, guys, we are at the trailhead, and it's not really a trail. This is all pretty much overgrown, and making history here.
Well, coming up to that gulch, and then there's another one, and that's where it's going to take us to the base of the structure. So we just need to keep heading this way.
Okay. All right.
We're at a gulch. We have the pyramid in sight, or we know where it's at. We got to cross this gulch going off the trail, so we just marked our trailhead.
We left the vague trail behind, and this is when it turned to hardcore trailblazing. Due to no service, GPS was worthless, so we felt like we may have gone off course, so it was time to get an overhead view. But in observation, it looked less like a structure and more like a mountain. Dry stream bed crossing and uneven terrain made the hike hard to cover much ground. In a place that gets 200 inches of rain a year, it's possible that its shape has eroded from thousands of years and is completely overgrown. It's possible it could be a buried structure. We reached the base and it was windy. No stones, nothing resembling anything but a mountain. So we got a tri-field meter here. It's putting out a bit of energy. What would it?
So baseline would probably be the middle. The middle line is what we're looking at. This little middle line. 0.6 is the baseline, but it keeps fluctuating.
Everything was inconclusive. We possibly chased the wrong thing based on following loose clues. It must have been more accessible. But we got word of another place, which is less of a needle in a haystack, to check out next time. We may have to be careful in today's world not to be tricked by the lies, but we don't have to be depressed or down from knowing the truth in this world. Our inherent state in this world is to be free. Humanity has been stuck in a captive state since the inception of civilization and had very few times in history of being truly free. Because our mysterious history has been covered up from us, people have never been able to know their proper origins of a very advanced, forgotten, ancient global past. Because of this, humans don't know their place in the universe and how to reconnect or what to reconnect to.
We're born into like a rocket ship, and they've taken away the owner's manual intentionally.
In human history, the standard of liberty isn't that common, really. And going back in human history, not too many. There's a slavery issue that goes back to the beginning of time, bad governments, autocratic governments, kings, hereditary monarchies, and things like that that really do not comport with freedom of speech.
Humanity has lost sight of the fact that the human is the human. Humanity has lost sight of spirit. Most importantly, people have lost sight of the Creator and the miraculous forces of the universe. But there are laws in place of the universe. Some call it natural law. There is morality that coexists in nature. Nobody owns you, and someone transgresses upon those rights of another human being, it breaks natural law. We can all be free. Human slavery doesn't have to exist.
Freedom is I own myself. I own my body. I own my work. I own my thoughts. I own my speech. Slavery is the opposite of that. And I think that goes along with the understanding that others are also free. You can't be free, totally free, and then enslave others. You have to accept the principle that all beings are free. We all have free will. We all choose our actions, and we all own our bodies. They attack that since the day we're born.
Abundance of food is freedom. Abundance of safety is freedom. Abundance of love is freedom. Abundance of all these sorts of things is freedom.
We do have one thing, we have free will, and through this free will we can live our lives as free as we can. And of course in our minds we always can be free. Travel, explore, meet as many people from as many places of the earth as you possibly can in your lifetime. Don't let people try to dissuade you from what your passion is.
Well, in order to understand where we're going, we need to understand where we've been. And if we're going to be going to a prosperous, connected, united, utopian future, we need to understand the past. Otherwise, the alternative is, it doesn't look very attractive. You know, a dystopian, controlling paradigm is not one that I want to head into.
So we need to be very careful of false idols of freedom. False freedom is a term that I just coined right now on this documentary. Beware of false freedom. Seek true freedom in your own self, because freedom can only come from within.
And this megalithic advanced culture that once existed, I believe that they honored the human, because they understood that not only do we need to honor the planet that we are on, because that is where our life comes from, but we need to honor each other. The earth, air, fire, water, ether. There's a different understanding. And that understanding transcends any three-dimensional, materialistic, capitalistic bullshit. That's the reason they want to hide it.
Man, if you aren't looking and searching and reading and seeking out this information, what information is better? What's more important than that?
It's incredible. It changes your perspective. It changes the way you think about things. It changes your understanding.
Not just in terms of not living in terror and fear, but in terms of having the energy and the excitement to explore what's out there, and the motivation to explore, who am I? What am I capable of? Who are you? What are you capable of?
Leave the rest of us alone. We only want peace, love, harmony, and understanding. May the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light. May the light of truth overcome all darkness, so victory to that light.
Things are wrapping up on Earth. We are at the edge of something big. The forces of evil are going up to battle the forces of good. Planet Earth needs a consciousness change, a change of heart. It's an amazing time to be alive. This is the sacred sight with your eyes and heart we must have for these times. An understanding of the time we're in, and an understanding that much greater things have happened in our past and are being covered up from our knowing. When you take the many mainstream establishment explanations of our ancient past, it topples the world we've been shown to exist, and we're left with many new questions. In no way is this documentary an attempt to undermine the indigenous peoples of the lands who have been in these places for thousands of years. Nobody knows these places better than the original stewards of these lands. But we can't avoid the evidence that points to a lost common knowledge across the planet of what was once a type of common knowledge in the form of megaliths, pyramids, and symbolism. In the case of the many spots we've seen today, many of them need more time and investigation. The first spot, the Oahu alleged pyramid, there is no evidence of this being a pyramid, but I found that it was some type of sacred site. I revisited it in the dry season. So the rock wall continues all the way up. The rock wall looked very old with lots of patina on it, and then it ended at this. Might have just been a division wall, but it could have been part of a heiau. No compass anomalies, but it registered a little bit of energy on the tri-field meter.
We're looking on the middle meter, magnetic 0 to 3 range, so the needle's about 0.7 now.
case of the Bosnian pyramids, the government needs to get out of the way of letting people explore more. They need to allow some digging at the base, or at least somewhere on the mountain that can give us more concrete evidence to really 100% know what it is. What it ultimately comes down to is these types of looks into our ancient past need to become a priority, which will help tell the human story more accurate. Keep watch of news at the Bosnian pyramids. The energy of this place is real. That's all I know. In Malta, I believe there to be many more undiscovered ruins underground. In a mysterious place littered with ruins of many civilization layers, I think deeper answers lie here as well. On the Big Island, we are still on the hunt for this mysterious pyramid site, but we found that it's one of at least a few yet to be revealed. People speak of the one we're searching for its existence, but in a land covered in extreme overgrowth that was once possibly part of a sunken continent, we have a lot of future excursions to do. We will have more answers to come in the sequel of this documentary, which goes along with the three-sided anomaly on Kauai. Could it be a buried structure? The energy was very real on top. In an area that receives over 200 inches of rain a year, and only 4 miles away an area receiving 460 inches of rain a year, things grow extremely fast in this type of environment. We know from the vegetation up there that it's all introduced for us from 200 to 300 years ago, so possibly it was a bare structure not that long ago. A professional stone carver got back to me about the stone we found on top. He says it's a cut stone, typical shape for building stone foundations or walls of 19th century building, used lots of similar blocks. Once the buildings were demolished, people would haul away the pieces and use them for all kinds of things. However, we know there was no building here. It is something else, so it proves that there was stone carving that had to do with whatever this structure is. And a future excursion will take us back here for more evidence in the sequel. But then a friend reached out to me. He had a conversation with the local Hawaiian and confirmed that it is indeed a pyramid. Down under in Australia, we're still waiting on the results from the microsil on the imprint and the Gosford glyphs, which will be part of the sequel. We have big news regarding the carved Aboriginal stones in the rock. They line up with the Pleiades system, which includes stars that can't even be seen by the naked eye. Much more exploration in the sequel. As far as the Gympie Pyramid, will we ever know the truth? Maybe this documentary will spark some truth to come our way. And there will be more heiaus looked at on Maui and beyond. This documentary was not created just to bash modern archaeology, because there are some good archaeologists who do good work, but archaeology is flawed because it's a product of the education system, and the education system is a closed system, an owned system. As you can see, there are many truths created on a bed of sand regarding our timeline, regarding the impossible creations of these sites, the leaving out of many fundamental truths. The adventures on this documentary are advanced and should not be emulated by anyone who is not experienced in this form of exploration. We went in many cases on private land to places with no trail and extreme terrain. On the same vein, if you are a curious, experienced explorer, maybe it's time to search your area of the world. Unearth the explorer within you. There's so much mystery on this planet. It's our rite of passage as humans on this earth to know our true history. Because the powers that shouldn't be are holding it from us, it's up to us to do the work ourselves. And it's time for this planet Earth to see and understand what's going on with a new set of eyes. This is the sacred site. The shaman was one who could see through the darkness. We must have this sight going forward, because truth is discoverable, and with the alignment of the right sight, anyone can obtain the sacred sight.